Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler, who's back at the University of Virginia. Applause for Ziggy for really soldiering through some days back in California. You had a makeshift setup. It looks pretty good, Ziggy, the new apartment.
Yeah, it was real tough being by the beach, hearing the waves.
Yeah, right.
Today.
I like that.
It was a tough setup. Now I'm back in a hot, humid, swampy Charlottesville, teaching for 2.5 hours a day every day.
There's a bike in the background. This is a Ziggy staple right there.
He's got the guitar, too.
We know he's a biker guy.
The tour just finished. It's been a great time for cyclists, bike racing fans. It's a nice tour this year.
So I actually did watch the end of the Tour de France. One of the last days, Ziggy finally got me to watch a little bit.
You watched Isola 2000.
I didn't watch a second of that.
I don't know if that's what it was called, but I always really enjoy it. It is amazing. Like those athletes are kind of crazy. And who's the guy, Ziggy? So who's like the crazy one right now?
Tadej Pogacar.
Yeah, Pogacar. We were watching him, and I'm telling you, Jack, this dude watching this guy cycle was actually kind of amazing.
I mean,
he was smoking people.
It's fantastic what they're able to, those guys can do.
Yeah, every time I watch, I have better appreciation. Yeah, I have a better appreciation for every time I watch Ziggy. And this dude, as we're watching together, kind of, or texting in live time, I was like, holy crap, this guy is just a monster.
I still do think that I wouldn't come in last in the Tour de France.
Jack, you couldn't make it through 20 minutes in the Tour de France.
How many races are in it total?
So it's 8 teams, or it's 22 teams of 8 riders.
I love how we just do.
So
first off, Jack had no idea it was teams going into this.
No, I
Second,
I thought it was all individual.
I love how we sit here saying, "Oh, we appreciate it more. They're amazing athletes," and then Jack's like, I'm telling you, I could finish non-last in the Tour de France. just pick up and go. When's the last time you rode a bike?
Probably when I had training wheels.
Have you read a book more recently than you rode a bike?
No, I rode a bike more recently. No. I rode a bike.
Jack, you know what the
I rode a bike
speed
pretty recently
was this year? You know what the average speed of their riding was?
Not faster than what I can do. But
26 miles an hour was their average speed.
That's a jog.
That's how fast I run that fast.
All right. If that hasn't convinced you,
See,
please.
I was a D3 track star for half a year.
Half a year, D3. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, if this hasn't convinced you to subscribe to the channel, please do. We're at over 11.3 thousand as we approach the start of the NFL season. Training camp is finally underway. So we pre-recorded a few of those. If you couldn't tell, we pre-recorded a few of those division previews, took some time off, and now we're back. This is our first recording in a few weeks here. Ziggy was moving back. We were taking a little bit of time to go on vacations, go to the beach, as Ziggy was saying, relax a bit. And now training camp started for 28 of the teams. We still have the Falcons, Cowboys, Colts, and Steelers. We'll be starting up tomorrow. It's been a nice time relaxing, but it's kind of time to get back to work. Ziggy, you said you enjoyed the tour. Jack and I were just at just in terms of like wrapping up what we were doing. We were just at a Luke Combs concert this past Friday.
Oh, awesome!
Great time.
Who?
Luke Combs? You know Luke Combs.
Country singer.
Who?
Luke Combs.
Oh, come on, man. I know you know.
You know Luke. He knows Luke Combs.
He's a country singer?
Oh, is that what you're going to harp on here?
No. Is that who he is? I feel like I've heard the name before, but I've got no idea.
Oh, when it rains, it pours.
Oh, God, man.
When it rains,
it pours. He did the Fast Car cover. That's what you might know.
No.
Oh, dude.
Ziggy,
you got Luke Combs is great.
My heart and all that's left of me.
If he sounds anything like what I'm hearing right now.
No, he sounds nothing. That is nothing like what. But a great concert. A great time over at Luke Combs.
Oh, that wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's a tough.
Rumor has it, Paul, you went to a nude beach too last week. Is that true?
No, not true.
I heard that somewhere.
Rumors fly, though. Rumors fly. So today's show, again, training camps are really just starting, so not too many stories coming out here. We just picked a few of the bigger stories around the NFL over the past couple of days. Jordan Love is not...
I don't know what you mean there's no big stories. Yeah, there's a huge Jordan Love update, the biggest Jordan Love update of the entire offseason.
Well, so far, I guess you could say that. But again, we still haven't really hit the big updates coming. But Jordan Love update coming in a little bit. Have a little talk on Aaron Rodgers, finally addressed his absence from the mandatory minicamp a few months ago. We'll talk about that a bit. But we'll start. Ziggy was really adamant about getting this in the show today. And for good reason. It is probably the biggest story currently in the NFL. Is that fair to say? Currently the biggest story in the NFL.
I think so, which tells you something about what's happening in July in the NFL. But I think it is the biggest story.
And it's what's going to happen with Brandon Aiyuk. Is Brandon Aiyuk going to be on the 49ers next season? He's entering the final year of his contract right now, set to make a base salary of only $14 million. I mean, poor guy, only $14 million for Brandon Aiyuk in 2024. He wants to be paid over $25 or at least $25 million per season on his next deal. He recently requested a trade. Of course, he had a huge 2023. Brandon Aiyuk, I think, he might be the most underrated receiver in the NFL right now.
I think he's awesome.
100%. Guy's unbelievable. 75 catches, career high 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns, 17.9 yards per catch.
I saw it with my own eyes. I saw him at Pittsburgh, and he was the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, you're a 49er fan watching those games. Brandon Aiyuk has a catch. The average is 18 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's awesome. And if you name your top receivers in the NFL to the casual fan, I don't think a lot of people are going to say Brandon Aiyuk. He's overshadowed, despite arguably being the wide receiver 1 on the 49ers. Depends who you ask. The guy is kind of overshadowed by McCaffrey, Kittle, Samuel. Like, who are the guys on the receiver?
He's the third or fourth option on his own team.
Yeah, exactly. But, Mike Florio just reported that right around the draft time, 5 teams were interested in Aiyuk. Some even made some offers. We'll talk about a few of those teams. But before we get into them, I just wanted to ask you guys your thoughts on Aiyuk's individual importance to the 49ers, because I think that could be getting overlooked in this entire situation. Is just how important do you think Brandon Aiyuk is to the 49ers going to finally bust down the door and win a Super Bowl? We'll start with you, Ziggy.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing a lot of people don't really remember about Brandon Aiyuk, unless you were doing dynasty fantasy football back in 2020, is Brandon Aiyuk was in the Kyle Shanahan doghouse, right? This is a guy who Shanahan clearly didn't like, who caused some troubles with the team. And when guys end up in the Kyle Shanahan doghouse, they do not get out, as a matter of fact. Brandon Aiyuk is the only guy who I can think of has shown that he's so important to the team's success that he was able to work his way out of that and become what ended up being a central part of the offense. Right, as you say, he's only good for like 75 to 80 catches a year. But if you're averaging 18 yards a reception, bringing in 7 or 8 touchdowns like he's done the past 2 seasons, it's difficult to replace just how open this guy gets, especially when McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel all have struggled with injury. Meanwhile, since his rookie season, Brandon Aiyuk hasn't missed a game. I think he might have missed 1 game last year. He hasn't missed any extended time. He is more valuable to the 49ers than any other team in the NFL. And that's why they turned down a Patriots second-round pick for him. He's critical to their success, but ultimately you can't pay everyone.
And Aiyuk, the 49ers have kind of been fortunate recently. I know you mentioned the injury history. Like Kittle and Deebo was a little banged up last year, but Kittle, for the most part, has been pretty healthy. McCaffrey's had a few healthy years. Like that, it's pretty fortunate for San Francisco to have the injury luck they've had, given those guys' history. You never know when someone's going to go down. And I just think when you watch Aiyuk, like you said, and this 49er offense, what makes the 49ers so dangerous is that you have all these guys on the field together. If you take one of them out or 2 of them out, we've seen the 49er offense look drastically different. So I understand I think San Francisco has a little less leverage, actually, maybe like internally speaking, than people might realize, where they're trying to win a Super Bowl right now. And if you take Aiyuk out, it's a little bit easier to cover Deebo and McCaffrey and those guys.
Oh, man, I think he's the best weapon in this Niner offense. And
I still think I still value Deebo and McCaffrey more.
I saw it firsthand with my own eyes. This guy's unbelievable. And you don't know what you got till it's gone. He was running circles around the Steelers defense for 60 minutes when I saw him up. I mean, he was open
week 1, right? Week 1 last year you were there?
He was open by 20 yards every single time. I believe he had like 12 catches for like 200. It was absolutely absurd. I guess you can argue, I mean, these guys are all so good. It's tough to pick and choose who the best one is, but they're all just so valuable. And if you take him away, is Deebo as open? Is CMC?
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Is Kittle as open? I guess that's more focused on CMC. It's, to me, to win a Super Bowl, the Niners need all of these guys that they have right now. And to me, Aiyuk's one of the biggest pieces there.
Do you remember, Ziggy, what I did with Brandon Aiyuk in the Dynasty League?
I do.
I had the Dynasty draft. I drafted Aiyuk, Burrow, Justin Jefferson, all on my team. And
Wow.
I got sick and tired of the Aiyuk production. I traded him. Now our leagues, has been reset, but I traded Aiyuk and a second round pick for Alexander Madison to back up Dalvin Cook. I mean, what a horrendous trade. And I traded Joe Burrow for Devontae Parker. I mean, oof. I mean, tough.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's fantasy episode coming out in a few weeks. We'll give you the fantasy football advice you need to dominate your league, coming straight from Paul Farrington.
Hey, to be fair, winner of a couple leagues last year. Like I find ways.
No, I'm the one you don't want to ask. You guys are probably...
No, you're consistently solid, though.
No, I'm not. I mean, they're good or bad.
No, but
we'll have the fantasy episode soon.
Honestly, if I were the 49ers, I would be sitting back and kicking the can and seeing what's available for Debo. Because honestly, with Debo getting older, the fact that he hasn't... I mean, it's easy to forget, right? Debo had that incredible season in 2021, where he put up like 1,800 scrimmage yards. But since then, he's put up like under 1,000 yards in 2022 and barely over 1,000 in 2023. Brandon Aiyuk is younger. I think he's the future of the 49ers. And again, this is why the 49ers are standing pat and demanding a first-round pick. I don't know if a team will be willing to give up, but if I'm a team like the Steelers, like the Cardinals, that have some draft capital to use, but really need to get a guy in who can rejuvenate an offense, I think Aiyuk could make a ton of sense.
I think Aiyuk's for the first-round pick.
So, yeah, real quick before we get into that, final thought on the 49ers here. Would you give him the $25 million a year? It sounds like you would, Ziggy.
I mean, $25 million a year sounds like a lot, right? But if you look at how the receiver market has actually gone this offseason, it's not that big, right? $25 million puts him at Devontae Smith money. It puts him at Nico Collins money. It puts him under Cooper Kupp, under Amon-Ra, $10 million a year under Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
My guess is he wants more like 27, 28. I think 25 is what the 49ers are offering, and he's not happy with that. At $25 million a year, that's an easy slam dunk. I'm not sure how high I'd go. I'm not sure if I'd go farther than, say, the Jalen Waddle contract, but he's got to be close.
I think that's probably a good number as well.
Imagine turning down $25 million a year.
I mean, if you're worth it, so if someone else will pay more. So in terms of those other teams, we said the Patriots offered a second-round pick. San Francisco turned that down. The Commanders have been rumored to be in there. The Steelers. So, Jack, if you as a Steeler fan, you would be very happy. You would happily give away a first-round pick.
I'd give a first-round pick for sure. I mean, this is still a young guy. He's to me, he's elite. He's fast. He's one of the better route runners in the league.
Well, I'm looking at the Steelers here. Pickens, Jefferson, Roman Wilson.
Yeah, you
need someone else.
They need him. I mean, Deontay Johnson's now gone. The number 3 receivers of a rookie who hasn't taken a snap yet in the NFL, and Roman Wilson. I think the new quarterbacks now with Russ and Fields, for this team to really take that step forward to their potential, they need a guy like that. I think it's so worth the first round pick.
Yeah, if you could get someone who, I can't remember who released the list, but someone, some credible source recently released a list of the top 10 receivers in their opinion. And, I was kind of surprised when I saw Aiyuk, but even I'm sitting there sometimes and he doesn't jump to the top of my mind when I'm thinking elite receivers. Then you go watch a little tape and you look at some stats. You go, holy crap, this guy's amazing.
And a team like the Steelers, who doesn't really all around need a whole lot besides that, to me, it's worth it.
Well, and think about it, like Ziggy said too, with the deal he's going to get, whether that's 25 to 28, whatever it is. Jamar Chase is about to get paid a lot of money. Who knows when that happens, but he's going to get a lot of money. CeeDee Lamb's going to get a lot of money. Again, to Ziggy's point now, if you get Brandon Aiyuk, who is probably a top 10 receiver there, on a cheaper deal right now, still young, great talent as we've confirmed here, that now all of a sudden, if you're the Patriots, if you're the Commanders or the Steelers, and you're looking to get one of these guys to be the guy, it's a great situation. So I think it's worth a first round. I mean, how many times do you see a first round receivers are sometimes, they're not easily panning out.
As valuable as he is to the Niners, we can all agree, we all said, I think he'd be more valuable on a team like the Steelers.
But again, for Brandon Aiyuk, I can see him going, would he take a little bit less potentially to compete with the 49ers? Like, I might be interested in that. I mean, I don't think he would.
If he were willing to, he would have by now, right?
Yeah.
The 49ers, they didn't make the biggest offer in the world, but as Jack said, right, $25 million's nothing to scoff at. That's a competitive offer. It's what Devontae Smith got. It's more than what guys like Nico Collins and DK Metcalf and even Deebo Samuel are making. I know the market's gone up, but as you said, from Jeremy Fowler's poll of everyone across the NFL, he's seen as a top 10 receiver. That means that someone's going to be willing to pay him big money. Because I'd bet Amon-Ra's probably also seen as a borderline top 10 receiver. Right? Real talent. To be a top 10 at your position in the NFL means something. And he got 30.
We're not
My
all...
guess is Deebo Samuel saying, I'm about as good as that. You know, I've produced as much as Amon-Ra for longer. Gimme.
We're not all Jalen Brunson taking $120, $130 million less.
Well, I am.
Oh,
to stay with you guys, I took a pay cut.
Oh, yeah. Jack took a massive pay cut to afford Ziggy's demands.
I took like $1 million less to stay under the second apron. I'm parading it around.
Yeah, right.
We're loyal. I'm loyal to the show.
Yeah, now Zach's contract comes up. All right, let's move on here.
Interesting guy.
Yeah. No, he is. Let's move on here. The Jordan Love story. So, we call it a story here, but at the end of the day, I'm not putting too much weight.
To see it. I was genuinely surprised to see it.
I was a little bit surprised. So Jordan Love.
Love again?
Yeah, the contract extension's coming. And although he's reported to training camp and taking part in meetings, et cetera, and other activities, he is not going to practice or play in any preseason games. Now, I doubt we get to that point, but not going to play in any preseason games until that contract extension is locked in. Gutekunst said it's possible that the extension comes in the next few days, possibly the end of this week here. For the time being, Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt are splitting snaps 50-50 with the first team offense. Without the deal, Love would be making $11 million this year. And some people, Adam Schefter went on Pat McAfee on Monday, I think it was, and said that Jordan Love has a chance to become the highest paid player in NFL history by the end of this week. So, $11 million versus, he might get $56 million a year. Like, that is a possibility for Jordan Love. The Packers also have the option to fine him $50,000 for missing this time or for not playing right now, and they decided or have chosen not to. I think, guys, so there's not really too much to this story here beyond, I have one big takeaway here from it. And we've kind of exhausted the Jordan Love stuff until he steps on the field. We know about the second half of the season. But when I'm looking at the Packers situation, and this disgusts me every single time I said it, I just think that everything they do right now is awesome. Like it's superb. It's superb behavior from the entire team where even though Love's not playing, he's not holding out, but he's just not practicing. It's still like everyone's still happy. He's out there with LaFleur smiling. He's a part of the situation, from where they were with Rodgers. And we're going to talk about Aaron in a little bit, and you could see the difference. The post-Rodgers era in Green Bay, it's just everything is done so smoothly and everybody's happy. And it's a much lighter atmosphere where it's like, oh yeah, the deal's probably going to get done. We're encouraging Jordan to do this. Jordan loves that he's being like, I just think Green Bay is doing, I've said it a bunch of times, and I don't want to sound like I'm sucking up to the Packer fan base or anything, but as a Viking fan, it's almost disheartening to just see how everything feels so cheery there.
Especially after you lose your Hall of Fame talent at quarterback too.
But there was a lot of toxicity too with those final years of Rodgers, and like that was great. I love seeing Rodgers come out and say things that where Packers fans were turning on him. This is the exact opposite.
Now it's running smooth.
Yeah. Ziggy, what do you think of this as a former or another Viking fan?
Viking fan.
As a Vikings fan, I see a little bit of hope in this because here's what I see. When was the last time, Paul, you can give me an answer to this, that the Packers had a big contract negotiation up that was not locked before, like right when training camp started? Never happened with Aaron Rodgers. Never really happened with Brett Favre, except on Brett Favre's weird, I'm going to retire, I'm not going to retire tour. But like, you can set that aside. The Packers always take care of business and get it locked up immediately. Now, why didn't they this time? Because surely they wanted to and have been pushing hard. My theory is that Athletes First is pushing really hard to get the Packers to break how they ordinarily do contracts. Any Packers fan will tell you, if you ask how much do the Packers fully guarantee a contract, a third. maybe a little bit more, but they never have big guarantees on the back end.
I love where this is
going. But that's
going.
not how those huge quarterback deals work anymore, right? You look at the mega deals for some of these huge quarterbacks, set Trevor Lawrence aside, you're looking at tons and tons of money being guaranteed late into the contract, right? For Joe Burrow, it was. For Lamar Jackson, it was. For Justin Herbert, it was. So while everything looks nice on the outside, I've got a little bit of hope that there is a fracture in Green Bay. Jordan Love's not practicing, right? He was all, oh yeah, of course I'm going to show up. Of course I'm going to do OTAs, when it was clear that a deal was going to get done. But now the Packers are playing a little bit of hardball. Jordan Love's not out there playing. He's going to meetings, right? He don't want to get fined.
So you think behind the scenes here,
there's
a tiny crack in the armor.
The Packers do not operate this way. They always have the deal done on time or ahead of schedule. The fact that it isn't, I mean, in this very weird Packers saga, something even weirder is happening. And it means there's some hope as a Vikings fan that maybe, just maybe, we're not going to be miserable come next year.
God bless you, Ziggy. He has no idea.
Ziggy sounds like an evil genius.
No, he sounds like
I'm a delusional Viking.
A delusional, fairly new still Viking fan.
Hey, maybe you're right. Process. Maybe you're right.
Maybe
I like the theory.
Hand him a big guarantee on the back end. You know what organization historically is willing to guarantee contracts, whether it's good or bad for us?
I'm sorry?
Sweet Minnesota. Jordan Love, we will guarantee your deal. We will guarantee any of it. Come to us. Come over here. Those Packers don't want to pay you your worth, man.
Well,
the Vikings,
we're pitching Jordan Love.
You'd rather have Love than McCarthy?
Of course.
Oh, yeah. 100% right now.
Well in the NFL before than the guy who hasn't.
You take Love over Darnold too.
I mean, but McCarthy's our guy though, so we got to support JJ. I know we do fully support.
Paul, are you telling me if we could get Jordan Love for the contract right now, you wouldn't take it?
No,
what I say on the air might not match
a million percent.
Might not match what I would do.
You can lie all you want to the fans. They know. They know exactly what you would do. One
of our friends was over here the other day, and he said, he's like, "Do you actually think Kirk is going to have that good of a season? Like, do you think he'll be that good with the Falcons?" I was like, yeah, Sebastian. Sebastian listens all the time. Thanks for listening. Great guy. He said, I was like, no, I don't say anything. Like, we really don't say anything on this show that we don't believe. It's not just, we're not just shouting things out. It might be ridiculous.
Speak for yourself.
It might be ridiculous, but it might sound ridiculous, but it is pretty much what we think.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Did you guys see USA Today release their predictions for the 2024 season? And they had the Jets beating the Packers in the Super Bowl?
That's the dream I had.
Oh, really?
Remember a few weeks back when I said it on air, that was the dream I had, Jets beat the Packers?
You did have that dream.
Yeah, but it was like 84-10. The Jets scored 84 points in the Super Bowl, so that's not realistic.
So it started to stray, but maybe there's something to that.
No, it was the Jets played the Packers, and they won 84-10. That was my dream. Then I texted our friend who's a Jets, Andrew, former host. I said, this has to be the best team of all time, right? And he goes, yeah, I mean, it's got to be.
The Jets aren't making the playoffs.
USA Today.
I doubt they will, but I had a dream.
USA Today had Green Bay at 13-4 and the Jets at 12-5. So Andrew, the friend we're talking about, used to be on the show here. We saw him this weekend, Ziggy, and Andrew said that this Jets team, he's like, we're predicted to go 12-5 here, but you just know something's going to fall apart because this team on paper is so talented. And it's true. When you go look at the Jets roster, if you just type in ESPN depth chart, I mean, top to bottom, it is just, we've said this a couple times, just a loaded roster. Huge if everything goes well. And you're just trying to find the way that it falls apart, probably along the offensive line. Now there's the Devontae Adams rumors, and probably not going to happen, but kind of fun for Jets fans to dream of. I mean, if you put Devontae on that, Breece Hall, Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, now we're talking about just maybe the best offense in football. But we'll go to this Aaron Rodgers story here. So remember, he missed the mandatory minicamp a few months ago with the Jets, and that blew up. Everyone was just ripping Aaron. He finally went on Part of My Take, a Barstool, and addressed that. And he said they can arbitrarily put a tag on whatever week of OTAs they want and say, quote, this is the minicamp week, which makes it somehow more mandatory than the other weeks. But it was an OTA schedule. That's how words can be a little deceiving from time to time. They can make a story out of the fact that I missed minicamp, but it was really 2 OTA days, but I came to the first 10. So I saw Nick Wright saying, I really wasn't deceiving Aaron. The word mandatory is mandatory for a reason. It's pretty obvious what that means there, that those are the days they want you. Rodgers used those days to go vacation in Egypt. Apparently that's something he's always wanted to do. The one big bizarre. So look, we've talked about this a little bit before.
He's a bizarre dude.
Like, I don't know. Why are you going to Egypt during the mandatory point? I don't know.
You can pick any other 2 days to do that if you're Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know if maybe whatever he was doing was specifically during those 2 days. I just don't know. We talked about this before, and I'm watching everyone rip Aaron on sports media shows today. But I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, this is who Rodgers is. We know this. He does stuff like this all the time. When you sign up for the Aaron Rodgers deal, you know you're going to get some actions like this. So do I think Aaron's a terrible leader? No. But do I think he's Tom Brady or Derek Jeter? No. Like, he's not perfect. He's just a guy. He's a human. He's a guy. Obviously, you want him there, but sorry, this is the situation we're in here. If you're the Jets, the best thing you can do, just move on. And I think that's what the Jets are internally going to do, despite what the media says. Like, I don't give a shit. All right, he didn't show up for 2 days. Like, he's here now. Let's go. They want to win the Super Bowl. Stop dwelling. In fact, if I'm Aaron, I'm just kind of shutting it down from here. I wouldn't even talk about it. But that's kind of how he is. He wants to put the stories out.
I mean, as long as he's there preseason, standing on the sidelines, watching,
don't care.
and then NFL regular season week 1, he's the key. It doesn't matter to me. He's 39 years old. To me, let him do what he wants before the first snap of week 1. To be totally honest with you.
But that's exactly the worry about it.
Yeah,
right? The Jets are if excluding rookies, the Jets are the oldest team in the NFL. If you exclude rookies, the average player on the Jets is over 30 years old. The youngest teams in the NFL, for comparison, maybe the Jets are doing it the right way. The 5 youngest teams in the NFL are the Packers, Chargers, Chiefs, Rams, and Bengals. So the Jets are very much zigging when the rest of the league is zagging.
Well done.
To put it incorrectly. But it's just, when you're talking to your buddy Andrew, and it's what could go wrong with this team, that's the thing. So do I care about Aaron Rodgers missing a couple days of practice? Like he says, it's practice, right? It's not like there's young receivers that need his guidance. It's not like he missed all of last year and needs to build some chemistry with people. It's not like we saw over and over again in those last years in Green Bay that when he's not there for practices and not working as a leader, everything goes wrong. We didn't see anything like that. What we saw was when Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up, that's how you know he's committed, he's dialed in, he's ready to play, he wants to do his best to win, and you have nothing to worry about fielding the oldest team in the NFL.
Yeah,
excluding rookies.
Don't you also think when you're 40 coming off an ACL injury?
Achilles.
I mean, Achilles, which arguably, I mean, it's worse. Yeah, it's worse. I mean, I would just want him to just chill until I have to play again. Legitimately have to play again.
I do think it's a bad look for Aaron to not show up to the mandatory thing, especially because in the New York market, all eyes are on you. You're Aaron Rodgers. You're in New York.
It's not really mandatory.
Well, no. Obviously it's not.
It's not. Yeah, it's not mandatory.
But for Aaron Rodgers,
Robert Saleh say, right? He said, mandatory means that everybody sits down and makes their own decision. Yeah, that's a leader of men right there.
No, so that's the thing. You have these discussions now where all of a sudden, everyone's talking about the Jets in a negative way, and that's why just showing up is, just show up. I get it. But also, this is what we're saying. It is 2 days of practice. You showed up for the 10. You're just sitting back going, why do we need to deal with all of this? Like that, obviously, in a perfect world, he shows up. But from here on out, if I'm the Jets, it's okay. If Aaron starts skipping training camp and stuff, yeah, that's not good. Like, we don't want him going to Egypt right now. But from now on, if he shows up, and which I expect him to, I think he'll be fine. Brett Favre. Remember Brett Favre coming back from retirement? He hated training camp. Brett Favre showed up to the Vikings and just ready to play. Just go.
For me, just show up week 1.
Winning cures all.
Do your thing.
If they beat the 49ers week 1, no one will give a shit.
Did Phil Jackson didn't tell Dennis Rodman don't go to Vegas? He let him do his thing. He went to Vegas, came back.
But I
think you let them do their things.
I don't think he wanted Rodman in Vegas.
I think in successful
he didn't tell him not to.
Everyone follows the rules. And I know that the Bulls are a weird exception, and Dennis Rodman really was the only exception to everyone in the Bulls follows the rules. But you're not seeing players at the Packers get away with not following the rules. You're not seeing Patrick Mahomes decide he wants to go off to Egypt and miss some training camp.
No, that's right?
The thing. 49ers, after that loss last year, the way they interpret it was all hands on deck from day one.
Yeah, that's what Green Bay's doing too.
Organization does. And in the Jets, of course, they're not successful. They've got to do whatever they can to attract anyone who wants to go and play for that bum franchise.
But I think when Mahomes is 39 coming up an Achilles injury.
I think Mahomes
wants to win.
Yeah, I think Mahomes is wired like that Brady thing.
I think when he's 39 and coming up an Achilles injury, he would go to Egypt on vacation too.
No, Mahomes is showing up.
He's 26 years old. Rodgers is 13 years older than Patrick
You can
Mahomes.
even just tell though. The Mahomes has the different mindset.
I mean, Rodgers started his career he was incredible. He was there.
Oh, he was incredible. But I mean, Aaron's also like pretty soon had the whole like he's always having these stories. There's always stories like that's again. That's what I'm saying. This is part of the Aaron Rodgers experience.
No, it's been more as he's got older though.
As he's gotten older, yeah. But they've been here.
How many Super Bowls did Aaron Rodgers win after he got old?
Yeah, I mean, fair. I mean, how many Super Bowls did Aaron Rodgers win? Period. He had the one, but
Mahomes isn't old yet though.
I don't think like Brady didn't change when he got older. Brady won 3 Super Bowls early. Did not change.
I also think he's different than Mahomes.
I think Peyton Manning did not change. Like
he's different than Mahomes still. He's better than Mahomes also.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Mahomes is built like them. But again, we'll see what happens with the Jets. So they're one of the teams. If you're ranking teams, like I'm excited to see what happens to them this season. The Jets are probably up there in the top 3, if not number 1. I mean, it could be so good or so bad.
At all. Because we know what's going to happen. Did you see the Aaron Rodgers top 100 NFL video when it was announced he was 92?
No.
You can go online and watch the clips. It's a bunch of videos of him throwing passes to Donald Driver and Jordy Nelson. Because that's the last time Aaron Rodgers accomplished anything in the NFL. I'm sorry, but the thought that he's going to turn around the Jets as an organization when he can't decide whether he wants to play football or run for political office. Nah, this guy's done. It's over.
Even if he does get hurt,
get him off my team.
Even if he does get hurt, some though, like Tyrod Taylor is also good.
Oh, I think that's a very underrated signing.
No, I think Jets. Taylor might be better than Aaron Rodgers now.
Remember, Zach Wilson would get hurt, and then they were thrown out before Flacco's, unprecedented resurgence.
Yeah, I think Taylor's better than Aaron Rodgers.
No, Taylor's. Oh, okay. Well, I don't agree with that, but Tyrod Taylor I thought he was actually okay for the Giants.
He's a Vatek Hokie.
They lost a lot of close games before they went to DeVito. All right, there you go. There you have it. The first show back. Hopefully, producer Zach is back with us soon. We're getting real close to preseason football kicking off. Kind of crazy how fast it goes this time.
A month.
Yeah, we're a month away. We're less than 50 days away from kickoff now. Ravens, Chiefs, week 1. Then next day we have Packers, Eagles in Brazil. Yeah, pretty good start to the season there. So, all right, we'll have more stuff coming out. Thanks everyone for joining us again. We'll be back on Thursday with an episode. And until then, we'll see you next time.